Hi, everybody.
Welcome.
All right, this is Lisa and Chef Devin, and we are here at Semiahmoo Resort Golf and Spa, and we are having our very first wine dinner since March when everything closed down. And we're so excited to have John Bookwalter here with us tonight, and we have a whole group of people, and so I'm going to pan around and they're going to all wave, and don't worry, they are all socially distanced. Don't worry. 1 second, and here we go. Say hello, everybody. All right. Woohoo! Yeah, wave. All right. Woo! And look at the view that we get to have. Look at that. And here's our chefs. There's Jenny and Sean and Romano. All right. Oop. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We're so excited to be here having a wine dinner, and we are just excited to see people's faces. And these are all my wine club people, so I'm just like feeling all the love having them here. And so we are doing a 5-course paired dinner, and Chef Devin started us off with an amuse-bouche of sushi. Do you want to talk quickly about the sushi?
Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you that saw the sushi demonstration on the Facebook cooking demo, what I did was the burioshi salmon, which is browned on top. It's layered and then pressed and then browned on top with a little bit of seasoned mayo and then garnished with a little jalapeno. So I'll jump into explaining this first dish, but I'm going to do it loud and do it to the rest of the crowd here. So for everybody, the next course that's coming up, like we talked about, is going to be the Dungeness crab strudel. Along with it is going to be a Chardonnay cream, and this actually 2 bottles of this Chardonnay reduced down to about a quarter cup or so. And then after I got it to that quarter cup, it started to brown a little bit, and that browning actually kind of gave it some sweetness. And then if you notice, when the sauce comes out, it's got a little darkness to it. And so I got a little caramelization from a little bit of the cream, so it's almost kind of like a caramel, as well as from the Chardonnay. Then I added a bunch more cream, reduced it down, but for what the dish that you're going to receive, there was about 2 bottles of that Chardonnay reduced into about 1 quart, if not less, of heavy cream. So it should have a really great, nice Chardonnay flavor. Inside is some wonderful local tarragon. Should bring out a nice kind of earthy mineralness out of Chardonnay. Then we also have fresh chive blossoms, which we picked from right over there, and fresh chives from our herb garden. And then we also have a little bit of black Himalayan sea salt, or black Hawaiian salt. And so it will actually, it has a charcoal kind of flavor to it. So when you're eating it, recognize that kind of like earthiness that the salt has, and it should bring out some really fun things in the Chardonnay as well. So,
all right.
Absolutely. So if we're ready, we can start to
start to do that.
Yep.
All right, and then I'm going to introduce John C. Normally I stand behind the camera and just make faces at Devin, but you're watching me, so I can't. So John, do you want to come? So we have John Bookwalter here with us tonight. Really excited to have him come out, and with his wife Gretchen and Ryder Langley.
How close do we get? 6 feet,
Oh,
right? Is
yeah,
that
you're
the
good.
Magic number?
Yeah.
I told my dad, who's 80, I go, well, it's better to be 6 feet apart than 6 feet under right now. So
Right.
let's do that. So thank you so much for coming out this evening during these very unusual and extraordinary times. This is actually the longest period of time in my life I've never not hosted a wine dinner or attended a wine dinner, which is almost going on 4 months now. I super appreciate the commitment by Devin and Lisa to and Semiahmoo, the resort itself, to hold this date. I think we set it sometime last year.
Yeah.
So when we thought, the world was perfect and everything, we were all making money at the time, I think, right? To really stick to it, I kept following up and going, are we still good? Are we still good? And she was like, yes, we're on. We're going to make it happen. So I love that stick-to-itiveness that you've had during this whole time. So thank you very much. So great to see friendly faces here and to have people out again. We've been cramped up over in Eastern Washington and Richland, where we live. We all are based out of there. That's where the winery is located. Of course, we're not behaving well, so we're still in phase 1 over there, and we're not sure when we might make phase 2. We're not phase 2 worthy, apparently. So we'll hopefully get there soon, and we have a restaurant as well, so we know the pitfalls of not having an open restaurant. We miss our favorite people, which are our clients, of course. So let me start real quick with who has everyone here had our wines before, or is this a first time experience for most of you, or half of you, or show of hands who've had our wines before. Oh, that's great. A lot of times I'll come here and maybe it'll be 50. Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few wine club members here.
So thank you very much for the support. So you're probably familiar with our story a little bit, but for those that are not, I'll give you the quick Reader's Digest version of who we are and what we do. My father's the responsible party for our family to be in Washington State. We were farmers in the San Joaquin Valley, and he grew up in Modesto area. My mother grew up, as I was saying earlier, and she went to Hollywood High, and we were talking. So she was Southern California. They met in Davis. They moved to San Jose as young bride and married couple. My sister and I were born in Los Gatos. Then we ended up farming throughout the Central Valley in Turlock and Delhi and Atwater. Tree fruit mostly, peaches. We had a little bit of grapes, which were Thompson seedless, not wine grapes. And then, as we would call them in the valley, almonds, not almonds, almonds. We don't say salmon, we say salmon, right? So that's what we grew in the Central Valley. And then my dad had the opportunity in the mid-'70s to move up to Washington to grow grapes at Bacchus and Dionysus Vineyards. And if you're familiar, it's one of our favorite sources of wine. We're going to actually end up this evening, I believe, with one of my favorite wines, the Volume Series, which is a single vineyard expression of the vineyard I grew up above that my dad first managed in Washington State. So in the mid-'70s, he moves up above the vineyard for the first year in his motorhome at the time, because we hadn't moved up as a family yet, or the first harvest, that is. And so Bacchus and Dionysus was a planting of about 400 acres of vinifera wine grapes, which at the time was 2/3 of all the grapes planted in Washington State. And to fast forward to today, there's over almost 55,000 acres in the ground in Washington State. So again, back to 400 acres, it represented nearly 2/3. He said he harvested about 3,000 tons that first harvest, which would have been, again, the majority of the grapes grown that year in Washington in '75. We moved up early '76. He managed that property, the Sagemore Farms, Bacchus and Dionysus Vineyards, up until the early '80s. He then, like every good entrepreneur, started 5 businesses instead of one of which was a winery in 1983 with my mother. And then he also started vineyard consulting, management, some property development, and things, great brokering. But he pretty much migrated mostly to vineyard management and the winery itself. So he ended up managing a vineyard called Connor Lee, which the 2 vineyards you'll really get to know very well this evening are Connor Lee, which is where this first wine is from, and actually the 2 wines, and then 3 wines, right? It's Suspense as well. And then one of the wines is a blend, really, of Bacchus and Dionysus and Connor Lee Vineyard, and the last one is, again, Dionysus Vineyard. So he's been involved, or was involved, in vineyard management all the way up until 2016 when he retired. He just turned 80, as I said earlier. So we've been around as a winery since '83, so it puts us in that first tranche of wineries when there was only about 20 of us. Anybody want to raise a hand and guess how many wineries there are today in Washington?
They're just over 1,000.
There was 1,000. So at the time when there was about 25 when we started, our bond number is actually 104. That was 104 bonds post-prohibition. So quite, again, this amazing growth in Washington, largely based upon, as we all have come to know, the quality that we get to experience from this amazing Columbia, Yakima, Walla Walla valleys that we get to grow grapes in. I mean, it's an extraordinary place. It's really, truly one of the great regions in the world to grow grapes. And we get to experience it firsthand at a very nascent stage, because you think about it, again, 1975, there was only maybe 1,000 acres in the ground. So it's a very young wine industry, but it's really come a long ways in a very, very short amount of time. So moving forward with our company, started in '83. I came back in the late '90s after going off to college and working corporately for a while. Came back and in late '97 took over winemaking responsibilities. I had no clue about how to make wine, and so we hired 2 of the best consultants over a period of 15 years to help me out and kind of give me my education in winemaking. And then about 5 years ago, I actually handed the baton off to a gentleman named Caleb Foster, who is now our current winemaker. I'm still very much involved in winemaking and grape sourcing. You can't get away from it. I like to say I'm a recovering winemaker. So I'm still very much involved, but the wines are now crafted with Caleb's direction day in and day out. And he's the one that really makes it happen in his team. We mostly produce red wines. We have a pink here today, or Scarlet Hexflame Rosé, and then of course this Chardonnay. But we mostly do red wines. We're probably 70 to 80% red wine production, so that's what we're known for. So I think that's probably enough about who we are and what we've done. If you have any questions, I'm here to make stuff up if I don't know the answer, so please feel free to do that. Let's talk about the first wine real quick.
All right.
So this is our Reader's series of Chardonnay. You'll see these pair of Reader's glasses on the Chardonnay bottle, the Reader's glasses that I carry around with me so I can see. This is a wine, actually, it was formerly called Couplet. So I've been making the wine for, I want to say 14 or 15 years. And I always say, if you ever found the first vintage, don't walk away from it, run, because it was really not very good. We fermented Viognier separately from Chardonnay, and then we blended it together. And if you know anything about Viognier, it tends to get very ripe and very alcoholic. So it kind of overwhelmed the Chardonnay. And at the time, it was probably more of a 50-50 blend. Over the course of the years, we've refined it. Now it's really become one of my favorite go-to everyday light, refreshing styles of white wine. It is co-fermented Chardonnay, so we can call it Chardonnay. It's 20% Chard on this one. I got to check with my brain over here. 20% Viognier from both the Connerly Vineyard. So Chardonnay ripens much earlier than Viognier. So we go in for an early harvest of Chardonnay when it's crisp and bright, lower sugar, higher acidity. We'll start that fermentation. 2 or 3 weeks later, we'll grab Viognier, because Viognier does need to get ripe and golden. And usually by then it's 25 or 26 bricks, which means the alcohol is going to probably push over 14 or 15. But we don't want that in a bright, fresh wine like this. So then we bring the Viognier in, clean the juice up, bring the wines together, and co-ferment. So it's co-fermented Chard Viognier, all stainless. We don't even park barrels near the tanks. So no oak at all, and no secondary fermentation. So there's no malolactic. So that's why you get the crisp acidity in the wine. And then my descriptors are kind of that fresh Bartlett pear or a Granny Smith apple. So it's more that style, and you get that refreshing crispness with a touch of sweetness. There's probably 3 grams per liter of sugar, which means it's 0.03, so very little if you're concerned about sugar. We don't make a lot of the wine, but it's really it's a perfect pairing for seafoods and just bright, fresh, crisp style of wine. And again, that's the 2018 Reader's Chard. I can't make anything else up.
All right, you're good?
We good?
All right, we're good. Thank you so much.
We'll see you at the next round.
Okay. All right, so, lots of information. So I'm going to sign off on this. I am going to do a little bit of videoing here and there, and we'll put some clips together. But thank you guys for watching online. Thank everybody for being here tonight, and cheers.